Viktor Orbán, the Prime Minister of Hungary, has been given some pretty devastating anti-democratic powers. And what we're seeing, not just in this country, but worldwide, including in the United States, is that dishonest actors are exploiting the pandemic in order to solidify their own power. And that's certainly what we're seeing with Viktor Orbán. Now, according to reporting, Hungary's parliament gave Orbán the right to rule by decree until his government decides. The coronavirus crisis has ended, defying criticism from European Union leaders. So they voted on this bill that essentially gives him unlimited power. Okay, the bill passed on almost entirely by votes from the Prime Minister's Nationalist Party, contained two important provisions. If Parliament is unable to meet, which its leaders have already said would be difficult, Orbán could continue to govern under a state of emergency, creating and suspending laws by decree. Only Orbán's government, or two-thirds majority in parliament, could decide when this period would come to an end. Now, is this a fair system? Because it seems like there's checks and balances at play, right? Parliament can decide, all right, he doesn't need to have all this unilateral power anymore. Except here's the problem. You need two-thirds of parliament to agree on that, and Orbán's party controls two-thirds of parliament. Democracy is over in Hungary. Like, let's just call it what it is. This pandemic, as devastating as it is when it comes to people's personal lives, one day when hopefully we get past it, understand that the devastation will continue if we allow politicians to get away with these types of things in the periphery while we're focused on surviving. I mean, we're seeing this in the United States as well. The Department of Justice, we talked about this story recently, has asked federal judges to detain suspects or people indefinitely. Anyone that the DOJ wants to hold indefinitely in the middle of this virus, they're trying to do it. They're attempting to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So basically do away with our protections when it comes to the justice system. These are things we need to pay close attention to, right? So jump in, John. I want to give you a few more details after I hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it seems like a terrible idea for anyone who's not a part of his ruling majority. Why would you need a let's say this is an emergency situation where we just can't meet, so we need him to rule. Why would you need to end it with anything more than a simple majority? I would say, why not just have 10% say that it doesn't need to exist anymore? That should be enough to cancel it. Why would it be a higher standard than passing legislation in the first place? But as you've alluded to, this isn't like some new turn from either the party or the individual. This is where they were going. So just briefly, so I looked up, this is from May 13th, 2019, article in The Guardian. Donald Trump showered praise on Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán for a tremendous job and shrugged off complaints that his White House visit represents a reward for the erosion of democracy in Hungary and Orbán's close ties to the Kremlin. Sitting alongside Orbán in the Oval Office, Trump declared it a great honor to host Orbán, who he claimed was highly respected all over Europe, particularly for his anti-immigration policies. He does say, he's a little bit controversial, but that's okay. You've done a good job and you've kept your country safe. I mean, people knew that this was the direction.
Yeah. And Donald Trump has quite a bit of admiration for fascists around the world. We know that he has a good relationship with Bolsonaro in Brazil. He has a good relationship with Orbán. When he went to North Korea and noticed the treatment of North Korea citizens by this dictatorial regime, he talked to the American press and essentially said, like, I wish I had that. Everyone stands up when he walks in the room. I wish I had that. I mean, it's just, it's terrifying that those are the types of people that he has admiration for. And the reason why I bring up this story is because, first of all, we should care about what happens internationally. We should learn from other countries, both from their mistakes and from what they're doing right. But it should also make us hyper aware of what our own government is doing in a moment of crisis, because the ramifications of what happened in the aftermath of 9/11, legislatively, what the executive branch was able to do when it came to expanding mass surveillance on American people. We're suffering the consequences of that right now. And I don't want us to further devolve as a country because of the crisis we're experiencing today. And one other thing I wanted to note about what's happening in Hungary is that the law that they passed imposes a maximum of 5 years prison time against those who intentionally spread false news or distorted truth that is seen to be detrimental to the government's efforts to fight the virus and address its economic toll. We all know what that means. When you have a power-hungry person like Orbán who has done away with democracy in that country, he wants to have in his mind, legal path to retaliate and imprison his opponents. There's no democracy left in that country, and it's devastating.
Yeah, it's sad to watch it. And you pointed out, that we have to be on guard as well. Like there are people saying, obviously we need to be adapting to this by setting up, automatic registration and mail voting and stuff like that for our election. And Trump was just saying a couple days ago that no, they want to go. The Democrats want to go crazy with the voting. They want everyone to vote. And so they're going to be blocking those efforts. And so God only knows if an election will happen. And if it does, what the conditions, what the risks you will have to take to be able to vote will be. And that's on top of all of the constant suppression efforts, at the federal and at the state level that we were already fighting against before this epidemic.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.